This morning, the Sangha has expressed the Pali Anumodana. We've expressed our appreciation and joy on account of wholesome actions done. And you listen to Bhante Agachita's Pali Chinese English translation, which is a fuller, you could say, not a summary, but an expansion of essentially the same point, that for the giver, one who wishes a felicitous life, it is felicitous, or who wishes felicity. Felicity means happiness. It's a woman's name, Felicity. It means happiness. It's not really used very much these days. And that's the essence of it. If you want to be happy, then do those things which make you happy. It's a causal process, very clear. Now, before I take my leave, and I'm very felicitous, it's been a very felicitous visit. So before I take my leave, I have one last chance to say a few words. And one of the questions I was asked recently in KL, I was visiting a family, some close supporters, and their daughter is actually just passed the entrance exam to get into my school in London, where I was at school. So it was nice meeting the family and then giving her some words of encouragement. Of course, I had to say, actually, it's been, I can't even count now, 35 years since I left that school. So I'm not really a recent pupil who can give her some tips. It's changed so much. I don't know what it's like now, but it was nice. And then one of them asked me, what was my regret? What regrets do I have about that period of time, at that school when I was young? So to pass that on to her. And for me, it's actually very clear. I've thought about this really. And one obvious regret was that I didn't really study hard enough. I had that chance. I was in a very academically or intellectually fertile environment, school and then university. And I didn't really get into the studies. It was more just something I did just to pass the exams. And I regret that now, because now that I've experienced this kind of interest in the brahmacharya, I can see in the holy life and in the suttas and in the way we live. And when you put your heart into it, when you really get into it, it might be difficult at first, but it's actually much more fun than being resistant and always, and they have to do an assignment or have to read a book just to try to do the minimum. That's actually tiring, because your mind is resisting. That if I'd have just got into it and I could have, really enjoyed it, and I would have done better as well in my exams. So that's one regret. This is a kind of external regret to do with, it's not so personal. But the more important regret, the profound regret, was that I was very self-conscious, spent a lot of time worrying about my image and how do I look and how do I fit in with the group? Are you in with the cool guys? Then girls came to the school. There's a lot of concerns and kind of absorption, not in the jhanic sense, with relationships and those kinds of things. And it's just real dukkha. And I'm sure you all know what I'm talking about. And so especially now, of course, with the internet, I'm so glad we didn't have the internet when I was at school. Then would have got lost in that kind of self-promotion and Facebook. But even just, offline social promotion was just such a preoccupation that I was never able to just enjoy myself and be happy and be relaxed. And I think this is very common. And so when I left school and then I contacted the Dharma for the first time in Thailand, without knowing or without realizing what it was, now I look back and I think what it really was, or one of the many things that really inspired me and really made me feel, yes, this is what I want, is that the environment, the monks, but also the lay people, the simple villagers, the Kruba Ajahns and the teachings, they were pointing me towards authenticity. There was nothing about trying to create an image and trying to fake happiness or pretend to be something other than who I was. It was just very, very clear that these were honest people, very simple village folk. The monastery was actually very simple and relatively unsupported. So whatever we had, we shared. And we shared our lives. You got up at 3 a.m, you all went to chanting 3:30, you binda bath. It was very, very honest. We all knew what we were doing. And of course, there's a bit of self-image, like you want to be there on time and that looks good for everybody else. So of course, there's always a little bit of image. You can't drop it straight away. But at least I could feel that this was, because then it's so much about you being with yourself. And you can't fake that when you're meditating or when you're on alms round, just with your own mind being restrained, or seeing simple villagers. They're leading their buffaloes out to the fields. They have their little basket, the Thai basket with the sticky rice, and the old women putting the one lump. There's nothing fake there. They wake up in the morning, they cook their little sticky rice, they meet, they talk while they wait for the monks. The children are running around pushing like a little Ovaltine kind of can. Is there fun? They're having fun. The kites are flying. The kids make kites from the bamboo. It's just so real, so authentic, so different from the falseness that I had been brought up in, that I'd experienced in London, in England, and then I'd at school with the image and the projections, and then that I was creating in myself, that I, without realizing, suddenly I was in an environment where everything was very, authentic and real and simple. And of course, honesty in terms of conventional truth, satya, precepts, not drinking, and everybody just clear that if you delude, you cloud your mind, you're creating a falsehood. You're escapist. And then, of course, more importantly then, with oneself, the authenticity to now acknowledge that there is dukkha. And the Buddha said that has to be fully understood. We have to be very honest and real when we are looking at our dukkha. Many people feel it, but when you scream and shout and you try to change things and you blame, then you're not being honest, because you're not taking responsibility for your dukkha. You feel it, but it's there. It's them. But when we practice, we feel it and it's here. It's me. It's not who you are, but at least conventionally speaking, it's here, and I have to take responsibility and sort it out so that it's not me, but I do it here, not with them or that situation or with that money or with that job, with that image, with that girl, that boy. So anyway, today, that's really all I want to say to you, is that Anumodana, this Buddhist path, is one of self-reflection, but you have to be very honest and try to understand that what we're doing is trying to find a way to live as authentic a life as possible, which means as honest, as real, and as free from the image projection, the trying to create this perfect person or better, or trying to zigzag our way through life. And that's how we will actually find freedom. It's difficult to look at where we're at and then make the changes. But just the Buddha called himself the great physician. So he was the great mental physician. So the doctor, he was the great doctor. Just imagine we're talking about the body. I mean, if somebody has cancer, they have to acknowledge that they have cancer before they can really properly treat it. And the treatment is difficult and painful. Chemo, radiation, it gets worse before it gets better. So don't think that as you do this Buddhist practice, everything should get better and better and better. It's very common that people say, I've been practicing so long, why am I still suffering? Or I've been practicing so long, and this retreat was so difficult, it was even harder than the last one, what am I doing wrong? And I generally say, look, no, I think you're doing the right thing. Because if it's easy, then I don't think you're getting to the heart of the matter. So I encourage everyone, take this Eightfold Path, take it further than dana, further than sila, all the way. Train your minds, cultivate the full Eightfold Path, and it will be difficult. But if your goal is truth-seeking and truth-finding, then I believe we all can find that. And that's what makes us happy, because we all love truth. When we see truth, we know it. When we meet a truthful person, we know this person is a good person. When we meet somebody who's fake, they might be fun, we might get something from them, but there's something inside us that says no. And we don't want to be caught in that rut. And it's very easy to do that. Family, all of the social pressures can make us live a life where effectively we're living a lie. And we never want that. So Anumodana, everyone, I encourage you. This is challenging, worth it. And keep going and support each other. You have a good situation, a good structure here. Keep using it and take it away into your daily life as you go to work today or go back home. Take the Dhamma with you, but you have to cultivate it and really keep it going. Okay, so Anumodana, I look forward to seeing you next visit.